fuck is wrong? Welcome, everybody, to Dumb Guy Live. I'm glad you're all here, ready to watch. Greetings, everybody. We got some people here. We got the usual. We got IDEK. We got Candia. We got my Portuguese friend. We got Laz. We got Cooks the Goat. Who was it? Cooks who complimented us on Twitter, or was that somebody else?
I believe it was. I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was pretty sick. Greetings, Triple L. Greetings, Anjan. I'm glad to see everybody here. It's Dumb Guy Live, everybody. A post Dominion Dumb Guy Live. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. As you can see by this banner in the background, it's not my birthday. It's my mum's birthday. So had a good day, and I'm ready to talk some Dominion. Some G1, and should be a good little show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm stoked. We got a lot to talk about. It's always like this is when we start to dive into like busy, Japanese Puro summer. We have the G1 lineup. N1 lineup is going to be announced in the next couple weeks. Obviously, the 5-star is looming. We have all the participants announced except for a couple. For that, it's a busy time, and we also, not to mention, we have All Together, and we also have Forbidden Door. And we have all that other stuff going on. So yeah, this is now you may notice we're missing our third member. Murph actually graduated from the Hitler Youth today. So we're very proud of him for managing to make his graduation. So he's there. He's at graduation right now. But yeah, that's sort of the situation here. Maggle, this comment is crazy. I made my girlfriend watch Dominion. I'm able to do a Michael Cole impression. What does he sound like? I made my girlfriend watch Dominion, and she said she needed Sonata to sit on her face. Which is wild.
Fair.
Yeah, that's cool. Some of these stuff you can't let your girlfriend watch this stuff with you sometimes. But then that's when you watch like Stardom or something like that, or you watch like NXT or something, and you're like, ha. This comment's crazy. It's wild. Okay. Anyway, yeah, he's gonna win 16 karat gold next year. That's his plan. Okay, Jamie, let's get into it. Dominion, second biggest show of the year. Osaka Joe Hall, New Japan Pro Wrestling, drew over 7,000. Great number, great attendance figures. I thought the crowd was really hot for this show, especially for the last few matches, as expected. And overall, I just thought this was a really great show. I didn't think it was like an all-time great, but it was just classic, excellent New Japan big show vibes. What'd you think?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think there was any like really bad matches on it. There was no, even the matches that we didn't, say like the tag match or maybe the Finley and Phantasmo. I don't think they were bad. I think they were like, they were all right. I think the tag over delivered considering like the participants in there weren't the most exciting. And then the highs of the show, obviously the 6-man and the main event, I think were really great. So yeah, good show overall.
Let's just go in order here. I think one of the things that made this show so great is that they cut out all the fluff. Literally one multi-man tag, and it was all the other stable members of the two people in the main event. So even that made sense, right? So just all important, exciting matchups on this show. Opener, Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer for the number one contendership for the IWGP United States Championship. As expected, Will Ospreay is going to challenge Kenny Omega for the IWGP US title at Forbidden Door, which was announced at the conclusion of this show. But yeah, a bit of a unique match. It only went 8 minutes, which is really short for a heavyweight matchup on a big show like this. But it was the opener. It was all action, and it was very much. It was more of a Lance Archer match than an Ospreay match, but I thought it was great considering the time.
Yeah, agreed totally. Like you said, a bit of a sprint. We've seen them go longer, and I think due to it being slightly more condensed, it didn't hit the heights that the previous encounters have. We know how much chemistry these two have got, but they did a lot with the time they were given, and I think they had a real good showing. Fun way to kick off what was a great show, and then obviously the results that it was never really in doubt. we're getting that Forbidden Door rematch from Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was mentioned on Worldwide last night. Someone asked, or maybe even the week before, current match of the year and stuff like that. And I don't think anyone had an answer that wasn't Kenny versus Will
Mm-hmm.
from Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year. And I think you'd struggle to find anyone who kind of disagreed. So, the fact that we're getting that rematch, and then obviously there's another match announcement for that show we'll get to later. It's going to be a special night.
Laz pointed out the finishing stretch with the hidden blade stuff, and as did my Portuguese friend. But I thought it was so good. Like the front hidden blade is so nasty. Like I love if you actually like, and I actually don't recommend doing this because it's going to kind of ruin the illusion of the move a little bit. But if you look at the hidden blade in slow motion, because it looks so sick, right? It's like, how doesn't he like kill this person every time he does it? If you actually look at it in slow motion, you're like, oh my God, like there's no danger at all in it. But the front one is just crazy. It looks like he's going to break the guy's nose every time. So that was a ton of fun. Yeah, great opener. Great way to set the tone for a big show here. Don't need to get too far into this one. This was a multi-man tag, LIJ versus just 5 guys. Were there any real like developments out of this? I feel like there weren't. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Not that I remember, no. Just kind of like your standard, multi-man match, which it was the only real, like, I guess you could say filler on the show. But when you consider it's like you said earlier, it's the stables of the 2 main event guys, so it felt like a worthwhile one.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe. I was thinking that Titan was going to pin Taka. Well, he did. I think he did, didn't he, in this match?
I believe Titan got the pin. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that he was going to maybe come out and challenge Hiromu after the title match there, but that didn't quite happen. But I mean, we can still obviously get that match down the line.
Oh yeah.
New Japan loves Titan, obviously, if that's not evident over the last month. Yeah, all the more for him. Junior tag title match. This was Kushida and Kevin Knight against TJP and Francesco Akira. Just really solid action and new champs, as I kind of thought that we were going to get the titles to switch back to the United Empire here.
Yeah, fun little match. I really like both teams involved. I've mentioned before I'm super high on Akira, and I know you're in the same boat. I wasn't hoping for the title switch, but I did expect it, just because they've only kind of just got going with the titles. Do they have something against Kushida? Like,
yeah, I wonder what's going on with that.
Has he picked someone off? I don't know. Are they bitterly still went to NXT? Like, I don't know. He's like, he came back. He's been an impact for like the majority of the time. Stank it up in Best of the Super Juniors. Obviously, had great matches, but like he went like 2-7. And now his tag title reigns, cut short. But regardless, fun little match, and I really like TJP and Akira, like I said, as a team. So, sad for the Jet Setters, but happy for these 2.
So there was newsworthy stuff after a lot of matches on this show. This was an early example of it. After the match, Dan Maloney essentially turns on the United Empire, and he comes out with Clark Connors. They are the next challengers in the Bullet Club for these titles, which I think is fun. I think it's good for Maloney probably to get a little bit of an edge. He was like positioned considerably below Akira and TJP in the United Empire pecking, and I don't think you really need 3 juniors in that stable anyway. So I think this was the right choice if you're going to keep Maloney around. Throw him in Bullet Club. I'm glad that Connors has some focus because he's really talented. He just hasn't. I don't think he's gotten the best opportunities to show it.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win. I think obviously, like you said, gives Connors a bit more to do, and then in terms of Maloney, like you said, United Empire absolutely don't need all 3 of them, and Maloney, whilst he didn't impress too much in Best of the Super Juniors, I think he's like aesthetically, he kind of fits in the Bullet Club a lot more. I think he kind of like he fits the vibe, and I like where they're taking the group at the moment. And obviously, there's some, I'm still not the biggest on Finlay as kind of the guy heading it up, but as we'll get into the other additions later, I think it's that they're shaping up with a few nice additions.
Laz in the chat points out that this match is already set. It's for the July 4th Korakuen, the Strong show. Kingston will be on that show as well. We saw his big singles match for the next night.
Independence Day in Korakuen.
Yes. And then so they announced the following main event too, which I believe it's Kenta defending the Strong title against Kingston, or what am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I believe so.
I got so much to keep track of, man. I watch too much wrestling, and it all like I glance at it and I'm like, that's cool, and then I forget it immediately. We'll get into Eddie Kingston a little bit later, but I think suffice it to say both of us are stoked about the G1 announcement. Okay, let's see here. Next on the card, this match was I thought a nice little misdirection too. Sabre versus Jeff Cobb for the TV title. This was a short one again, only like 8 minutes, but once again, I thought the action was great for what it was. The near falls towards the end were really excellent, and just continuing to enjoy this Sabre run as a television champion.
Yeah, not too much more to add on that one, really. Just more of the same. I've said it pretty much after every single Zack Sabre Jr. title defense. He's like the perfect guy to have with this belt. Like, just the kind of style he wrestles, and a sub 15-minute, technical stuff. I was maybe expecting a title change here, although I was a bit 50-50 on it because of the ongoing Samoa Joe thing. Although I thought maybe it could have been a swerve. I was kind of ready for a Cobb singles title run, but I'm not going to complain with Zack Sabre Jr. Keeping that gold. I love the finish. Obviously Cobb goes with the tour of the islands, and Zack flips him over into the pin. I think that was a nice reversal. And looking forward to seeing what's next from Zack. It seems like the Samoa Joe match is happening, whether that's a Forbidden Door or maybe a Supercard of Honor, something like that. Death Before Dishonor, I believe, is the next. Yeah, so we'll see.
Sabre's said that he's going to be doing a lot in the United States over the summer. He's already wrestled pretty frequently in the US this year. He's shown up in Beyond. He's shown up in GCW. So he's been doing plenty in the States. And I think that's going to continue. TMDK don't seem like they're the most, featured act in New Japan right now. So I think it's good to continue getting your stock over in other places, including Ring of Honor and AW. Tag title match. Unfortunately, after Aussie Open having to relinquish both sets of titles, the IWGP and the Strong Openweight tag titles, we had Bishamon versus the United Empire, Okan and Hanare, versus House of Torture, Evil and Yujiro. And I thought this was one of the better House of Torture involved matches in a long time. I think they shine in these multi-man matches where it's like super chaotic, and it's the nature of the match is inherently sort of consistently cycling in wrestlers in and out. And I think Evil has become, even though in a singles match setting, I think it's still just so bad. I do think Evil has become so excellent in his like positioning and just being in the right place at the right time to get the crowd to react in some way. And the other thing is they're not presented as main eventers. They're presented as like lower mid-card goofballs. And we also got the right winner here. A lot of people were worried that House of Torture were going to win. I was pretty confident that Bishamon were going to win this one. It just makes sense for them to go back to the old default with Goto and Yoshihashi. But I really enjoyed this match, all things considered, considering a lot of the people in the match I'm not the most high on as talents.
Yeah, I was in the exact same position. When we previewed the show last week, this was definitely the one that we weren't looking forward to, compared to everything else. Like you said, with the House of Torture stuff, I do think it worked a lot better in this kind of scenario. When you see it, in the singles matches, like you said, it kind of like just grinds to a halt, and you get these Dick Togo interferences.
Yeah, the Togo stuff is just, but it again, and it's part of the structure of a three-way is that it's essentially no DQ, right? It's not actually no DQ, but the way they book, the matches is essentially no DQ, and it just fits well.
Yeah, because you've got all these different moving parts, it kind of keeps the thing flowing. And again, because when it first kicked off, it was Evil as like IWGP. Well, he's double champ, wasn't he? So that it was a lot more of an offensive move when that all was kicking off. But yeah, right winners. I thought the closing stretch was quite fun. And yeah, it just makes sense to, when you have an unfortunate injury, you have to vacate the title, to go back to the old reliable, the previous champions, kind of, you know, to buy some time. And then obviously after the match, I think we might have even our next champions.
Yes, after the match, we got brand new challengers. So this was fun. So actually,
Mhm.
before this match was the announcement of the G1 participants, and two important names on the list were Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd. They were billed as being under the LA Dojo branding.
Mhm.
And then after this match, they come out and they're in Bullet Club. They're the next
Mhm.
challengers for this title. They're a tag
The
team.
War Dogs.
Yeah, the Bullet Club War Dogs. I don't know about you, Jamie. Some people are kind of down on Bullet Club. I know Murph, if he was here, he can't
Oh yeah.
stand new Bullet Club. I love the Bullet Club War Dogs. I think they're great.
Mhm.
I think the presentation is awesome. It's classic, very reminiscent of Gallows and Anderson. I'm like
Mhm.
forgetting their Japan name, but yeah, it's I just love they don't come across to me like they're going to be Bullet Club interference bullshit, extend a match just to get the heat type wrestlers. It seems like they're going to
Mhm.
be heelish, they're going to be unlikable, but they're also going to back it up in the ring, and I always appreciate wrestlers like that. So yeah, after the match, we got the lineup with the new Bullet Club, Finley in the center. We got
Mhm.
the two juniors on one side, the two heavyweights on the other side, and I'm still not sold, and I think a lot of people are in this
Mhm.
boat with Finley as the leader. We'll see. I like Finley as a wrestler, but being a good wrestler and being the leader of the Bullet Club, something that, extended uh, Prince Devitt, AJ Styles,
Mhm.
Kenny Omega, Jay White, David Finley is
It's tough to live up
it's
to, right?
it's a lot to live up to, but
yeah.
I love the new tag team, and I would not be if they're wrestling the way I think they're going to. Uh, I would not be disappointed at all if they're the new tag champs.
Yes, absolutely. I'm 100% with it. I think Gabriel Kidd, I've been high on him for a while. I think he's got a lot
Mhm.
of potential. So it's nice to see him back over. And then Coughlin, I think he's another really exciting prospect. I always see clips of him like doing some crazy power move and stuff, like lifting guys up off the floor like when he shouldn't be able to.
Mhm.
He's a real strong man. So yeah, I'm hoping, like you said, that they're not going to be too interference heavy, just like two big hard bastards. And if they're going to wrestle that way, then I'm with it. Strap them up. And yeah, just a good addition to the heavyweight tag scene. Obviously, they've just kind of lost Aussie Open, or at least that maybe they won't be there as frequently. Now
Mhm.
it seems like AEW probably going to be the priority. And
Right.
you see in that three-way tag match, whilst it was better than we thought it'd be, it's still not the deepest of
Right.
and most exciting tag division in the world. So a nice addition, and yeah, I'm willing to give this Bullet Club a chance. So um, yeah, I just hope David Finley can kind of live up to it. He's kind of
Mhm.
like the one kind of weak link at the moment, which is a shame because he's like meant to be the top guy. But we'll see how it goes.
So, really quickly, $1.99 super chat from Mavs fan 84. King Taichi will rule, assuming we get that. We got the Kawada disciples
Mhm.
going over against each other. Eddie will be over in Japan. Yeah, they got to throw Eddie
Oh
and
yeah.
Taichi in the same block in that G1. I really hope they make that happen.
Mhm.
Okay, continuing on, we have the Never Openweight Championship match: David Finlay versus El Phantasmo. This was long. We
Mhm.
got a little bit of the Finley Tamatanga vibes
Mhm.
that I think both of us really enjoyed. But I thought this was maybe the weakest match on the show outside of the 8-man tag. I wasn't a huge fan of this overall. Just kind of felt like a holding pattern. I never bought for a second that Phantasmo was going to win this
No.
title, and that when you have a heel champion who you just never believe is going to win this title, and also I have to say, well, I'm going to let you continue because I have a point to make about Finley that I think is maybe one of his big issues. But yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of this overall.
Yeah, same. I would agree. It's probably my least favorite match on the card. I'm not crazy for El Phantasmo, which I think doesn't help. So
Yeah,
he's not kind of
same.
like
Yeah.
my favorite guy. Um, there were talks about him. I heard like back when he was a junior in Bullet Club about him moving up to heavyweight. It seems like maybe that's where he's at now. But
Mhm.
he's not kind of my favorite guy on the roster. And then again, Finley. I've mentioned a ton in the past before. My issue with him isn't like his wrestling, but even then, I don't think he's like a crazy, like exciting wrestler to watch. So when you pair him with, El Fantasma, who I'm not super crazy for either, it's not my favorite combination. Phantasmo had the new theme, and my favorite thing about him was his theme.
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah.
that was like, ah, he didn't come out to. I mean, I don't hate the new one, but I like the old one. But yeah, I don't have too much to say on this.
The other thing about Finley that I think really makes it difficult is that I think his finisher sucks. Like
Mhm.
it's the shoulder breaker. It used to, is I don't know if it's still called the Trash Panda, but it's just no good. Like nobody ever buys. It's like the crowd like remembers
Mhm.
that it's going to be the finish, and then they're like, oh, I guess that's the finish. It's
Yeah.
not like some big emphatic finishing move like the Blade Runner or the One Winged Angel or or anything else, right? It's just a
Mhm.
move. It looks like a transitional move. I think he needs a better finisher because it never builds to that awesome, great closing sequence like you want it to.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I think that kind of comes across as well when the bell rings. There's no like, I don't know. It's kind of like just dead
yeah,
silence. There's no excitement at the close, like you said. So yeah, it's not my favorite finisher either.
it's unfortunate that we never got the. We kind of got it at the U.S. show, but they definitely could have done more with the Switchblade Finley dynamic because that was their whole
Oh yeah.
thing when they were young lions. Was that Jay White was just better than Finley and he would beat him all the
Mhm.
time. And then a while ago they did that was Jay White's first defense of the US title after coming back from excursion was against Finley at Korakuen, and they've always had this history. And Finley, overtaking the Bullet Club is always a big deal, but they just never
Mhm.
really got the I don't think they necessarily got the closure to that they wanted. So that's too bad.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped establish him too
Mhm.
as a big time wrestler. All right, the third from the top, fresh off of his Best of the Super Juniors victory, Master Wato challenged Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, but he was unsuccessful, which I think surprised a lot of people. Definitely surprised me. I thought it
Mhm.
was his time. But yeah, Hiromu is looking like it's going to be a long reign for
Mhm.
Hiromu Takahashi. I thought this match was great. It lived up to a Dominion Junior title match that you had won off the Best of the Super Juniors. But yeah, no Master Wato was champion.
Yeah, definitely a very surprising result. I was, as someone who's admittedly never been the biggest Master Wato fan,
Mhm.
I was totally sold after his Best of the Super Juniors performance, particularly in the last, the semis and the finals. And yeah, whilst he didn't win this one, I think, I think it's going to do a lot of good. Someone pointed out in the group chat that it's only his first singles title
Mhm.
challenge, so it doesn't hurt him too much. It's
Which
not
is
like it's
crazy, by the way. He's
yeah,
been
he's been
back for
around.
3 years now.
Mhm. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't know if you froze. And my Wi-Fi's playing up slightly. Getting a little bit worried, but we're still here. Yeah, the crowd was super into Watto. Hiromu's like super popular, but they were chanting pretty loud for Watto. They
Mhm.
want to see that title change, and I think it'll come. Hiromu's been talking about breaking all sorts of records and defense records and stuff. So it seems like he's going to have a few more title matches in there. I mentioned when we previewed Dominion that there were a few guys who beat him in Best of the Super Juniors that could be,
Mhm.
maybe in line for a match. And I think you rightly pointed out that not, the majority of those aren't like signed talents, right? You're talking like
Mhm.
Leo Rush, Bailey, Titan as well. But I
Mhm.
think you could definitely get a few of those in. I don't really know what Leo Rush's contract status is, but the Titan one feels like something we could definitely be getting.
Yeah.
And yeah, a fun match. After I believe Hiromu's mentioned his next title match will be against someone beginning with an
Yeah,
F.
someone whose name starts with F, and
Hmm.
that's like, what? Uh,
Yeah, the,
who could
the
that
the
be?
biggest name I've seen mentioned is Fujita Hayato from
Yeah.
Junior. So
Seems like
that'd be
they're talking about it. I just don't. For some reason, I just don't buy New Japan doing the like having a Michinoku Pro guy. Like they're like not even one of the 10 most important promotions in Japan. Even someone as spectacular and someone with as awesome a story as Fujita Hayato, I just don't buy it. I kind of think like nobody said Francesco Akira, which is like
yeah.
possible. Like they have a guy on the roster whose name starts with F who had a really good Best of the Super Juniors. There's like they could get Masanobu Fuchi, who's like 67 years old. They could get Flip Gordon, who they could do that. I what I should do is look through the Dragon Gate roster and see if there's anybody on that roster whose name starts with F. Because it was announced over the last week, Hiromu is going to be competing at Kobe World, the biggest Dragon Gate show of the year, in a singles match against Yamato. So I wonder if after that match we get and it's non-title. So I wonder if after that match we get some sort of challenge or something.
Hey, I'll tell you who's not on the Dragon Gate roster. Takuma Fujiwara.
That's right. We had some big news over the last week with all these young lions are leaving. Like all these young boys.
Where are they going?
We had Kinya Okada. I fucking popped myself with that post about Kinya Okada, the one that was like, it's like, join Noah, be a young boy for 4 years, finally get a big win over Yoshiki Inamura, join the N1, lose every match, break your face against Nakajima, and then leave without elaborating. I like the idea of that. Yeah, hell of a run, Kinya. Yeah, so Kinya Okada and Yasutaka Yano, who Noah was high on for a while, like he had definitely surpassed Kai Fujimura among the like young boy rankings on their roster. And then in Dragon Gate, Takuma Fujiwara, who is like this stratospheric talent, just an incredible junior heavyweight wrestler, and SB Kento, another one who has already done like Kento like submitted Dragon Kid within his first year in the company at Dead or Alive, like their big, or at Final Gate, I should say, their like biggest show of the year. And then he lost his hair to Dragon Kid. Like he's been involved in a ton of important stuff in his time there. So to see him leave was really shocking. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Takuma Fujiwara.
Yeah, I just thought that one up on the spot. I mean, I don't know. You pointing out, I didn't even think about Akira. Like, that completely slipped my mind. So, I mean, it could be him. But yeah, no, that'd be exciting. I do wonder where all these guys are going. It seems like the two Dragon Gate names. It was mentioned that they're in Mexico for the time being. So we'll see what the plan is there. But yeah, especially on the Dragon Gate side, two very surprising departures.
I have nothing to back this up, but it seems very possible to me that the two Dragon Gate guys are going to Pro Wrestling Noah at some point, because their junior division just adores, lucha inspired wrestlers. Like they sent fucking like Junta Miyawaki, who's like this like classic, catch wrestler. They made him do lucha for like 9 months. In Mexico, they just love wrestlers like that. So that wouldn't shock me if that's what they want to do. And they've pushed people like Amakusa over the last year. He's been a big deal. So but yeah, I have nothing to back that up, no sourcing or anything. Okay, let's see here. And yes, so yeah, we do not have an explicit challenger lined up for Hiromu right now. 6-man tag for the never openweight 6-man titles. Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii successfully defended against the Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli in his New Japan debut, and Shota Umino. This was my match of the night, Jamie. I thought this match was absolutely fantastic.
It was incredible. I don't think for me, I think I'm in the minority. I slightly preferred the main event, but I do think the majority of people I've seen they've been raving a lot over this co-main, and I'm with them. It was only marginal between the two. Everyone, had a great showing. I think that the highlight of the week overall has been Claudio Castagnoli. Obviously, won our wrestler of the week vote. He had good showing over in AEW as well. He's tremendous, man. He's he's been in his prime for like forever, but it feels like
I know.
he's the best he's ever been like right now. Like he's super locked in. Seeing him in the New Japan ring for the first time, it was incredible, and he had a great show. And Manny mentioned, I believe, that he's he mixed it up with Tanahashi a little bit there.
Hmm.
They were getting into it. Tanahashi, as Manny pointed out, won his last match on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So maybe we could be seeing those two, whether that's Forbidden Door. I feel like
That would be
Tanahashi
so
might be getting in
awesome.
there with Moxley again, a Forbidden Door.
Hmm.
But maybe even the Death Before Dishonor we could be seeing.
Well, Desperado challenged Moxley to
Oh,
another
right, yeah.
hardcore match just I think just yesterday.
Mhm.
So I mean I would be thrilled either like Tanahashi main eventing Death Before Dishonor or being on of course Forbidden Door would be either of those would be fantastic. I'd be thrilled
Oh, yeah.
with either of those.
Yeah, and then just everyone else in the match as well was incredible. Shota, since he's been back, and especially stands out in matches like this, does not look out of place at all with these
Mm-mm.
guys. He's right up there already. Ishii is always super fun. Okada, he's having one hell of a year as always, and his whole thing of like just killing these new
Yeah, he hits the
young lions
flosion,
that are coming
right?
back.
He just like
Mhm.
he just like busts it out just because he can.
Yeah.
And kills. Yeah, yeah. No, I thought this match was so good. I love the
Mhm.
matchups. Okada versus Shota, Moxley versus Ishii, calling back to their
Mhm.
2019 Korakuen main event that just blew everybody out of the water. And Tanahashi and Claudio is one of those matchups that I don't think is like at the top of people's list of when they think of dream matchups, but then when you
Mhm.
actually see it, it's like, oh my god, like this
Yeah.
is these are two of the best in the world. It's just great. I thought this was such a thrilling 6-man tag. It we've said this before, but it's crazy when you put awesome wrestlers with this 6-man tag title, you get awesome matches, right?
And
It's
it
crazy.
makes the belts feel important. Like I know
Yes.
I know they weren't planned to co-main event the show, but I assume they would have been like third from the top or
Yeah,
they
I
would have
think
been
they were
far off.
supposed to be just
They,
one match prior.
yeah, and it's like they've never really been in that position before. And it's like obviously they've got look at the people they've got holding the belts. Look at the people they've got challenging for the belts. It's like obviously it feels more important. That's as easy as that. That's why I think in the tag division, I think we spoke about it last week. Just like throw some like you've got a faction based roster. Throw
Yeah.
Suji and Shingo in the tag division for a little bit,
Yeah.
and like. I'd watch some
What about like
IWGP tag title defenses.
Sonata, Taichi, and Kanemaru or something like that? It
Yeah,
would be sick. You get like any like Osprey and any two people. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. It's just it's I don't know. I guess they frankly they just don't value their tag divisions that much.
Mhm.
But there's like they have the talent to make it happen. They're bringing
Oh,
in
yeah.
32 wrestlers for the G1 Climax this year, and that's not to mention these 6-man titles are open weight. You can have anybody
Mhm.
be a part of them. So they have the talent. They just don't prioritize them for whatever
Mhm.
reason. But I thought this was so great. The headbutt between Ishii and Moxley was incredible. Um, I loved everybody's interactions. I loved the finish with Okada
Mhm.
just fucking like big leaguing Shota. I mean, like, sorry,
Yeah.
this is my ring, and then his dad has to like count the pin. It's so brutal. Yeah, I loved this match. I love this match. A rare, genuine dream match that absolutely lived up to expectations. So great
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
In the main event, this was one of the
What what
most, I
what
think. Oh,
hold
sorry.
on. Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Hold on.
Oh, I
You
am burying the lead
you
based
talk
on
about
our.
dream match. You just
Yeah,
mentioned the
yeah.
word
We're talking
dream match.
about the
Hang
title
on.
of our show is right now Dream Matches Announced. They're on the video board. We get a video from the American Dragon, Brian motherfucking Danielson, who challenges Okada for a match at Forbidden Door in Toronto.
Good
Okada
lord.
versus Danielson. Arguably, and I think this would be most people's answer, the best North American wrestler and the best Japanese wrestler of the 21st century. And we are
Mhm.
going to see them wrestle at Forbidden Door. I am so, so
It's
excited about this.
it's incredible. Your assessment is my belief. I think
Mhm.
Danielson's the best. I think Okada is the best. It's just like it's one of those things when even before he left WWE, there was kind of like mentions of Danielson wanting to work New Japan, but it's never really come to fruition. Even last year, a Forbidden Door, when he was meant to work Zach, he got injured. So it's like it's kind of eluded us throughout this run. But yeah, it doesn't get better than that. Working Okada, it's going to be something special. I think I've seen a few debates about what should be the main event, regardless of what obviously between that match and the Ospreay Omega match. I think regardless, you're looking at like we only have 2 matches announced for this show, but it's looking like an all-time already.
It's
You start
literally
with those
I
two.
literally can't think of two better matches announced for a card in history. I honestly
Yeah.
can't.
I can't think of 2 better matches they could have made.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. It's
Maybe if you do Okada Omega and then
yeah.
you also do like Ospreay it'd have to be Ospreay versus like the next best, like Ospreay versus Hangman or something like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But oh my god, this
The crowd popped big, and did you notice there was a lot of yes chants?
yeah, they immediately
They
dove
know
into
the
the yes chants. It was so
they know
much
the
fun,
WWE
so
law, you know.
exciting.
They were watching that yes movement authority out of
Mhm.
WWE. Big fans, the New Japan
That's
crowd.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So stoked for this. It's just Forbidden Door was I was able to go last year. It was my first ever AEW show. It was my second ever New Japan show, and I just happened to get to see the show of the year last year. And this year, and that was a show that everybody said was cursed and snake bitten and was ruined with all these injuries and mitigating factors and all this type of stuff. Uh, this year, we've gotten practically none of that.
Hmm.
All the main guys seemingly are ready and able to go. I don't want to jinx anything, but the show's in 2.5 weeks. Like, how
Hmm.
bad gonna get? And I'm pretty sure they,
I'm
as yeah, maybe I
thankfully.
shouldn't, but I mean, as they're saying in the chat, need all of them in bubble wrap between now and the 25th. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. But oh my god. So we got a super chat from Bruh asking about Forbidden Door. Say they do 9 main card matches again. How would you guys feel the next 7 for Forbidden Door? I think it would be tough to go down the 7. I do think we can just for the next few minutes list either talent or specific like title
Mhm.
matches that we should see. What jumps to mind for me, there needs to be an Orange Cassidy international title. Well, assuming he has the
Well,
title at that time, yeah, because Swerve might have it. I would just love one of the underratedly great things about last year's show was a lot of the matchups were just completely wild. Like
mhm.
the Sting and Darby tag against alongside Shingo, right? Against the Bucks and
Dudes with
Phantasmo.
attitude, right?
Yeah. And I was so sad because I didn't get to see Hiromu
Ah,
because he was injured for that show. But even like Swerve and Keith Lee against Desperado and Kanemaru was like a ton of fun. And then
yeah.
on Rampage that week, we got the Bucks versus Bishamon, which is another match that was just like, it was a really good match. So I just hope they continue to give us inspired, creative matchups. I hope it's not just, you do like Bishamon and best friends against like uh I don't like who's a heel in AEW, who like a heel tag team and House of Torture or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that seems uninspired to me. But I want
Mhm.
some really good. I'm interested to see in the chat what people want to see too.
Yeah, I saw Lazarus pointed out Shingo versus Hangman. I think it's a singles Shingo
Oh
match.
my god, that'd be incredible.
Because obviously we got him in that multi-man match last year, which was great. But Shingo's an incredible man, and I think especially with Hangman, that could be something special. Hiromu getting on that card as well. Obviously missed last year. Would be
Mhm.
would be great.
Hiromu
Um,
versus Darby would be
oh yeah,
incredible.
oh yeah.
Um,
It'd be interesting to see what Sonata does. I've not seen
mhm.
too many, not seen too many like crazy predictions for what he could be doing. I think that's partly because not everyone's super high on him, so they're not like, I think we're big Sonata fans, but there's a few aren't as high. What would you like to see Sonata doing it.
Yeah,
That
see, I
doesn't
would
have
love
you
to
got any
see him
ideas?
just I would love to see him have a defense, even if it's only third from the top or
Mhm.
something like that, against an upper mid carder from
Yeah.
AEW. I just think it would just continue to establish him to the international audience. He's been a great wrestler, or I think you could do like some all-star tag with him
Mhm.
and Taichi against a big name, up like I'm just trying to think of because the roster has been overhauled so much. I'm like struggling to think of who I might put in there off the top of my head. But I do think and Taichi against somebody could be really good, or Sonata versus just an AW upper mid Carter, someone like that.
Mhm.
You could, yeah. There's just a ton of stuff. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sonata should be on the show. It'd be weird if he wasn't. We haven't gotten
Mm.
any indication outside of our main people and some BCC adjacent people that any Japan guys are going to be on this show. Oh my god, I like this one.
Well, hold on.
Sonata versus Jeff Jarrett. Yo, this one, Sonata versus Big Bill for the title could
Ah,
actually
I'm
be like kind of sick. Like that's a 7 feet tall guy for Sonata to vanquish and get another defense in. You can go like 11 minutes and nobody's gonna be like, oh, that was too short. I kind of like that.
yeah,
Man,
I'm
I
with it. Hey,
kind of like that one.
I'm a big fan of Big Bill. He's been doing good stuff lately, so I'm with it. I need Suji on the card. We're about to talk about
Oh,
Suji. Well, he's
yeah, Suji on the card. Yeah, we need Lij. Like there
Mhm.
was not a ton of Lij presence last year. I think it was just Shingo, right? Um, so that could be really valuable too. I man, seeing like uh Sonata and Taichi against like Lethal and Jarrett or something could be really fun. Man, I love all this stuff. Oh, and this is a good point too. I haven't seen somebody mention this here. Takeshita, I would love for
Oh
Takeshita
yeah.
to be on this show. There's so many exciting matchups that we've just never gotten between Takeshita and other
Mhm.
New Japan guys that I'm just chomping at the bit. He's so good. Um, yeah, and the thing about well, I don't know if finally it feels like they're going to try to protect him, so I don't know if he can lose a match, but
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, Night, you guys have great ideas. Naito versus Orange, like that's so much fun. I love that. I would
It's
not get your hopes
two
up.
incredibly stacked rosters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you can do with it.
I would not get anybody's hopes up about an extended MJF match, but he'll
Mhm.
be there. He'll do a segment.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, like strong style, like Suzuki, Narita, and Desperado. Maybe that's what they're gonna do. Maybe they'll do like
Oh.
Suzuki, Narita, and Desperado against BCC or something.
Oh yeah,
That could be pretty
yeah,
sick as
maybe.
well.
Yeah,
Or just
getting Narita, Umino, and Suji on the card, I think is
mhm.
would be pretty cool. If you can get all those three on.
And it feels like a
Yeah.
foregone conclusion that we'll get Ishii and Suzuki on there as usual.
Oh yeah.
They're always present on these US shows, so
Mhm.
they're two fucking incredible wrestlers, so that's fine by me. It's genuinely kind of incredible how we could just go on forever talking about all the incredible matchups that we could get. That's why
Mhm.
I understand a lot of people have been kind of lower on AEW. I've been really busy, and so I've been kind of checked out of the product, so I can't make my any like big evaluations on the state of the company. I thought Double or Nothing was still like a really good show, even though a lot of people were kind of thought it was middling. But this is why AW existing is so incredible. Like, and then there's even stuff like Willow should defend the strong title on the show. Like
Yeah.
Tony Storm would be a great match for her.
Mhm.
Well, no, probably not Tony at this point. That was just kind of what I was thinking
Yeah. It's a shame to
after the
think that we
Suji
probably
stuff.
it looked like we could have been getting Mercedes on this
Yeah, yeah.
if she was not injured and had that belt. But
Mhm.
yeah, Willow, it will be interesting to see what they do on the women's side of things. Obviously, the debate every year is kind of the Stardom thing because they're pretty much New Japan's
Mhm.
they're the sister promotion. Or,
Who
some of the
okay,
best
I
women's
gotta
talent in the world.
who are who's who's Eddie Kingston's friends in AEW right now? Does he have any? I know he's been kind of absent. Because I'm
Uh,
thinking, what if they did like Sonata and Taichi against Kingston and somebody, and they did it as like I think that would be pretty sick. And do it Kingston and Kenta. Make them do a
Yeah.
strange bedfellows tag match. Yeah, there's so
Yeah,
much.
maybe they have some respect between them after the.
Hmm.
Oh, actually, no, the Independence Day match will be afterwards. So I don't know, but yeah, I've seen a lot of debate as well today about the Stardom thing, and who's the one who's not playing ball and stuff like that. Because obviously, it's something a lot of people would like to see, but we're definitely not getting it this year. They've booked a pay-per-view for Forbidden Door Day, and everyone's on it, Kyrie included. So Stardom are
Yep,
not
there
going
won't be
to.
any Stardom involvement, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I do think ultimately there will be Stardom involvement in some capacity.
Oh
I
yeah,
think there's just too much to gain.
mhm.
I don't really understand this. Like I'm not as tuned into Joshi Twitter as I used to be, but I don't understand this like weird conversation that people are having about Stardom and AEW and how they're like some people are like Stardom doesn't need AEW to succeed. I don't think that's anybody's argument. Like something can be not necessary, but can also still like benefit you. I don't really get it.
Yeah, it's like
What the conversation is.
even if Stardom's like top priority isn't like kind of like their main focus is the local, growing that Japanese audience, but growing massively in America is never a bad thing. So if that isn't like the main
Yeah.
concern, it's not going to have any negatives. So, and then for AEW,
Yeah.
you getting access to like the best women's talent in the world, putting on some really exciting matchups, that will obviously benefit them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I get it if you're not personally a fan of like American women's wrestling
mhm.
and you'd prefer they just stay in Japan. Like, yeah, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
But then I would just like say that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
doesn't
that
need
you
to
don't
be
have
any
to like
bigger than
twist
that.
it to be like, oh, dude.
Like nobody's gonna get mad at you, dude. I promise. Anyway, all right. Yeah, as you all can tell, we are stoked about Forbidden Door.
Mhm.
We will give a full preview of that show 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
However, in the meantime, we still have not talked about the main event of Dominion: Sonata versus the meteoric Gene Blast.
Gene Pass. What does that
Yoda
mean?
Suji. I don't.
I need him to.
Sounds profane to me.
I need him to
But
explain that one. What's all that about?
yeah, I like this. I'm not gonna elaborate on this comment, but yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. The Gene Blast, Yoda Suji, uh, wrestled the shortest IWGP title match since the Tokyo Dome show in 2010, when I was 14 years old. How old were you, Jamie? Like were you born yet?
2010. I was 7.
A wee lad. A
I was
wee
a wee
lad.
lad. Yeah.
Mhm. 17 minutes for this match. I thought Suji looked so fucking incredible. I just thought he was awesome. This is like New Japan are so good at restraint, right? Ghetto is
Mhm.
so good at restraint, patience, taking your time, building things over a long way. There is no restraint. Like, aside
No.
from having him literally win the match and the title, there has been no restraint shown with Yoda Suji. He comes in, he has a arcade create a wrestler move set. Like
It's
he's
fucking
doing these like
insane.
sit out Cazadora face busters and a Fosbury flop within the first 2 minutes, and he's got these awesome overhand chops where he just like they're just like a gunshot. He does a curb stomp. He does the Seth Rollins stomp. Like what? I was watching this. I was like, what's going on here? It was so awesome, and it's like, yes, I understand being patient. I understand that you have to show restraint because you have a large roster and you want everybody to have some
Mhm.
shine. But occasionally it's just fun to let a wrestler come out and debut and be, hey, guess what? I'm Yoda Suji, and you can't predict the next thing that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about me. You don't know my motivations. I'm in LIJ, but you don't know about my relations with any of these people. That's it. I'm Yoda Suji. I'm Gene Blast, and I'm here to do all these crazy things. Yes, they did a running Spanish fly in this match. Suji's like 240 pounds, and Sonata's like a big guy too. It was just, oh
Oh,
man, I just loved it. Moonsaults, right? It was so great. He obviously fell short, but I think you and I are in agreement. Murph is too. Suji,
He's the man.
he was a beast. He was a
He's
beast.
Yeah. I see. Obviously, he made his return, and then we didn't see him for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I see now why we didn't see him. They've been growing this motherfucker in a lab. They've been fucking injecting him up. They've been getting him ready. He's like, oh my god, this is what it felt like. Watching this.
Murph, you picked the best time to join. We're talking about Yoda Tsuji.
Oh, he's here. Oh my god. Oh, it's Murph. Look at him.
Murph, thoughts on Yoda Tsuji?
I'm kind of busy, but I just wanted to check in.
Thoughts on Yoda Tsuji? All right, cool. Good talk, Murph. That was crazy. Wow. No, I loved. I thought this match was stellar. I think you may have even liked it more than me. But I was just so entertained by it. Like, I can't remember the last time a wrestler has had so much intrigue and like mystery around them that's just been like, man, I gotta check this guy out. The best comparison I can think of was like 5 years ago when Cara Noir was starting to get really popular in like the UK scene, Brit Rest in Germany and all that. He was just this guy named Thomas Dawkins, who I had seen wrestle occasionally. He was just like, he was like a talented guy. He's kind of like a shooter. And then he repackages himself. And he comes out and he does if you recall Riptide Wrestling at all, Jamie, who always had the really cool editing and camera work and all that. And I just loved the intrigue and mystery around him because he just carried himself so much differently than every other wrestler going right now. And I think Tsuji is even bigger than that. Obviously, it's a way bigger stage, way more stakes to what he's doing. Just the look too, the long hair, like it's really long hair. The
he felt like a star when he came out.
The
like
hood,
instantly.
when he's walking out, the placement of the hood is so good. He like it like drapes over his eyes, but you can still see his like smile. He's got this awesome, great big smile.
I love his grin.
Yeah, not to mention. And so here's the perfect. Thank you, Scarecrow, for pointing this out. And IDEK, I think your comment there is great too. Like 2 to 3 minutes into the match, Sonata's kind of stunned and up against the ropes, kind of facing away. And Tsuji rears up and he gets into like the 3-point stance, like he's about to do the spear. And the crowd like gasps. They're like, oh my God, is he going to squash Sonata?
I thought he was going to do it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, man, it was just great. Just
I love this match
an impeccable debut. And Tsuji, he's a made man. He's a main eventer as far as I'm concerned. He's up there with Shingo and Naito and LIJ. And I am so excited for this G1 run for him coming forward. I talked for like a year there, Jamie. Go ahead. give me what you want to say about Mr. Yoda Tsuji.
Before Murph did a little running, I was about to say, like, watching this match, this is what I felt like. This is what it feels like to fall in love. I was on my feet, hands on my head, fucking about to rip my shirt off. He's just hitting these moves, like you said. He's got this crazy move set, and I was just popping throughout the whole thing. When he hit that Ospreay flop, I was like, oh my God, this might be the best wrestler in the world. There was one moment where Sonata goes for the deadfall, and he like fucking cartwheels out of it.
Oh my God, yes. But like, how long has it been since we've remembered all these different spots from a big match? Like we're just rattling them off. I haven't gone back and watched it again. I watched it one time.
Yeah, same.
And I was tired. It was in the early morning. Oh my God.
It's just I love it so much. Like you said, he's instantly straight up there with LIJ. I pointed out before with Shota that he didn't feel out of place at all in his big spot. Tsuji feels like a main eventer. He did not feel out of place because it was such a crazy card placement when that match got announced. It was like fucking Sonata versus Tsuji Dominion main event.
Dominion main event.
But when you watch it was like, I know the match went short, but like I wasn't counting how long the match went. I was just having like the fucking time of my life. So it was
I wasn't even. I mean, they fit enough stuff in there, and that's the thing. Because of the pace of what they did, there was none of the wrestling around kind of downtime. The patient development that New Japan
Mhm.
usually does in their main events. They fit as much stuff in the 17 minutes as they usually do in their 30 to 35-minute main events.
Yeah, it's just it was incredible. There's one line I can't remember who said it on commentary, but it popped me a lot. But he like went for a move and was it Gino? He was like, "We can't even say he's going for this because we don't know what he's doing." It was like, it just completely summed up like the the intrigue behind it. It's like we don't even know like we've seen his spear, so we assume that's his finisher. We don't know what moves he's going for next. I had no idea at any point what this guy was about to do, and it made the match so exciting. And obviously, we're about to get into the G1 announcements. I'm just so excited now that he's there, and he's going to be around wrestling a lot. The G1, he's going to wrestle a ton. I'm just so excited to see more of him, mix it up with more guys. And obviously Sonata, Sonata won the match. I thought obviously
Sonata did everything he needed to do. Like he bumped perfectly.
He
There
was
were
the perfect,
nothing even resembling a botch in this match, and he came out with the win. He realized, even though he's the champion, this match was about getting Tsuji over and establishing him as the main event guy, and he did it perfectly. And it's probably no small consolation that he gets to be IWGP Heavyweight Champion throughout the G1, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, man, just a
What a
great
match.
debut. It wasn't like an all-time classic match or anything. It felt like really the structure of it felt like a mid-card PWG match with just trading moves and stuff. Like there was no structure to it, right? There was no rhyme or reason. There was no like leg selling or anything, you know what I mean? Oh, there were some dragon screws here and there. But gosh, the just an exhilarating debut, and just one that has, I think, everybody salivating at more Tsuji. So, any final notes on this main event?
Not on the main event, just more stuff about Tsuji that popped me. Did you see the video of Naito? I think I sent it into the chat, and he's eating at some. This is going off on a bit of a tangent. He's eating at that restaurant, and he points off into the distance. He's like, "Oh, turn the camera around," and then Tsuji's just there with his big fucking grin, and it's like, I love it. Oh, he's my favorite wrestler in the world.
I love wrestlers that you can tell that they love what they do. Tsuji,
Oh, yeah.
you can tell just and it's crazy because when he was a young lion, there are some young lions who are like super assured. Like Yuya Uemura has incredible confidence. Shota Umino always had incredible confidence. Tsuji a lot of the times looked like he was a little bit nervous out there, like he was really still learning the ropes and wanting to do the best thing. But oh my God, the confidence! Like he's such a fucking alpha. Like he's just a bad man. Man,
Yeah, that grin he's got, and someone's point. It was Leia Laz points out in the chat where when he at the start of the match when he pulls everyone in to do the LIJ pose, and he's got that big, it's slightly unnerving grin on his face.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
thinking
like, what do you know?
What is his plan?
What is his plan?
Yeah, like I don't know. It's
Sonata's the
so
perfect
intrigued.
foil for him too, because Sonata is such a straight-laced, like Just Five Guys is kind of kitschy, right? But still, Sonata really isn't that much different as a character. Like he's very even keeled, neutral, calm, collected, and Sonata he's over there. He's just very puzzled. He's like, "What? I don't really know what to do here." It's just a great dynamic. Yeah, I loved it. I think we both loved it. I know Murph did too. All right, should we talk some G1?
Oh yes, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Dominion overall, I thought was a great show. No like all-time classics, but two I thought really great matches. Another few that were very good. Nothing even close to bad. Smashing success for New Japan, as we've been saying all year.
Yeah,
right.
And just like super notable stuff as well. So it was a really fun time.
Let's get into these this G1 lineup. I'm going to boringly list out all 32 people in the buckle in. Okada, Naito, Sonata, Ospreay, Tanahashi, Finlay, Shota, Shingo, Ishii, Tamatanga, the return of Tangaloa, Hikuleo, Goto, Yoshihashi, Yano, Kenta, Sabre, Taichi, Eddie Kingston of AEW, Phantasmo, Narita, Evil, Chase Owens, Cobb, Great Okan, Hinare, Gabriel Kidd, Coughlin, both of TMDK, Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols. Do you think Mikey Nichols is going to main event Wrestle Kingdom next year?
Hey, he's in with a shot.
And then two awesome names to close it out: Yota Tsuji and, coming from Pro Wrestling Noah, Kaito Kiyomiya, the Supernova, is going to be in the G1. The first involvement from a signed Japanese talent to another promotion in the G1 since Marufuji and Nakajima in 2016. We have Kaito Kiyomiya in the G1. I don't know about you. Some people were kind of middling on this announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy with it overall. I love, I should say the field as a whole. I'm pretty happy with it overall, just because, frankly, New Japan has not had the most exciting lineups over the last few years. And so I think both of Kingston and Kaito add enough excitement and intrigue to me that it makes up for Hikuleo and Chase Owens and people like that being in there, right?
Yeah, I'm in a pretty similar position. I'm not the craziest on like the 32-man formats and stuff like that. I mentioned, we just had the 5-star Grand Prix reveal, and they've gone for 20 two 10-women blocks, and it's super like, there's like no shitters in there at all. Mikey Nichols versus Chase. that could be something special. But yeah, so obviously with that big field, you get your Chase Owenses and your Hikuleos in there, but it also allows room for some more exciting surprises who maybe wouldn't have made the cut if we kind of cut it really thin, because the roster's stacked, right? So Kiyomiya and Kingston, I couldn't think of too many better surprises for the G1 than that. So I'm fired up.
Want to go back to this super chat from Darren KG, $2. Likes the G1 lineup, but why isn't Kento or Yuma in? As the resident Auj All Japan expert here, Kento, even though he sort of occupies the same position as Kaito in his promotion, Kento he's just too important to All Japan to do this tournament. Like, he can't lose more than one match in the tournament. He'd have to be in like the finals for them to even consider sending him over for this tournament. He is All Japan. If he were to get injured or if he were to get buried or something, it would genuinely hurt the company's financial prospects. Yuma, my guess is All Japan kind of wanted Yuma to be in this tournament. However, Yuma's whole thing is that he is 100% beloved and adored by All Japan fans. And if you're not an All Japan fan, you kind of don't know that much about him for the most part, and you don't really get his appeal. He has pretty generic gear. He doesn't have a crazy physique or look or anything. He's kind of small despite being a heavyweight. He's an incredible wrestler. I adore Yuma Aoyagi, but he's just not the type of guy that they would put in for to a G1. I think they would more likely put now maybe you were saying Yuma Anzai.
I thought about that potentially, maybe.
But and Yuma Anzai, I mean, that would be sick. But again, somebody who debuted a year ago, doing as essentially a young boy, joining the G1 would be pretty crazy. Even as he's been pushed. But as much as I would love to have All Japan guys there, I think there are genuine reasons for them not to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the structure of this tournament a little bit, Jamie. It's going to be 4. It's almost certainly, and I felt very smart because I kind of talked about this last week on the show. 4 blocks, 8 each, because I'm like, there are more people who belong in the G1 than there were last year at this time. And last year there were 28. And so I'm like, I didn't love the 28 structure. I do think 32 is enough to make it feel like a genuine, grueling back and forth round robin tournament. Up until a few years ago, Best of the Super Junior was always 2 blocks of 8, and it felt sufficient, right? Now it's 4 blocks of 8 for the G1, so it's double that. It's going to be a big, long tournament. I mean, obviously not everybody is thrilling. Hikuleo, not excited about. Chase Owens, get out of here. I think the TMDK guys are talented. There's just no like sauce behind them, right? But just about every other matchup I can think of has at least some intrigue. behind it. And we get all these new guys too. Shota has never done a G1. Ren Narita has never done a G1. Gabriel Kidd, Alex Coughlin have never done the G1 before. And we're returning all the important guys from last year too, plus a much improved Sonata, who was very generic last year. I just think the overall roster is just better than it was last year, and as such, I'm a lot more excited about the lineup.
Yeah, I would totally agree. That's kind of the thing that shocked me about Stardom's announcement when they did the G1, because I was looking at that. I was like, last year they did 26, and like they've signed more wrestlers. You know, they've brought
there are some big names that are going to be left out of that tournament.
Yeah, they've cut it down to 26 wrestlers there missing out. But yeah, no, I would agree. Like I was saying before, you know, you got to take. You know, this is always inevitably going to happen when you have a bigger field. You're going to get those kind of guys in your chases and stuff. But I think we more than make up for it with you know, the excitement with the new guys and the, you know, Suji especially. I'm so fired up to see him wrestle with more big names. Obviously, Kiyomiya potentially mixing her up again with Okada. Whether that's like in a block or whether they maybe meet in a semi-final or something like that. Whether he does really well, and then obviously Kingston being in there is, you know, a guy who's like, if you follow this career, it's like the most evident thing in the world that he like loves, you know, Puro. So he's obviously a big All Japan guy. So that's kind of his main, you know, his favorite promotion there. But being in the G1, he gets to wrestle in Korakuen next month, and then he gets to be in the G1. It's like, it's so cool to see. There was talk about him like before he went to AEW, like potentially retiring. I don't know how valid that is or whatever, but I'm just so happy we get to see it. First of all, his entire AEW and Ring of Honor run's been incredible, but now we get to see this, and it's like, you know, so you can't be more happy for it. It couldn't have happened to a better guy.
I love, it's all great. I love the idea. Yeah, Laz and Bruh are talking about this Okada with all the young guys in the same block with like Kaito and Narita and Shota and Tsuji would be great. Tsuji, I almost placed differently than the other three guys now. Like he's established for me. He exists on a different plane to me right now than Shota and Narita, which is saying something because those guys are awesome.
I almost think you could actually use that. You could do that. You could do that, and then obviously maybe have Okada face those guys first, and then he gets.
And then you do Tsuji in like semis or something like that.
Yeah, and maybe he thinks it's, you know, there's another one of these young guys I'm going to beat. What if Tsuji just fucking beats him? It's like what? Then what?
Just beats Okada.
Then what? That's the type of thing I want to see. But yeah, no, that'd be super exciting. I think, you know, all three of those new young guys in there, it's going to be exciting, and yeah, it's going to be fun. It's the G1.
It's the G1, lad. And again, at its core, we have all of these incredible wrestlers that we like: Okada, Naito, Sonata, Ospreay, Tanahashi, Shota, Shingo, Ishii, Goto, Saber, Taichi. Right, just all these great wrestlers are going to mix it up at some point. It's the G1. There's a reason it's the biggest tournament in the world in wrestling. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. We will obviously do a full G1 preview when it gets to that time. I think the first G1 dates are in like the second week in July, I want to say, because they do that Strong show on July, on the first weekend of July, is essentially taking the place of how they used to do like the G1 special shows in America ahead of time. So that'll establish some of the big storylines heading into the show, into the tournament, I should say. Okay, what else do we want to talk about here? I feel like there was one other thing. Oh, hey, Jamie, there's a big show coming up in 3 days. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's the New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, all together show. They are all together again. After many years apart. For a long time, New Japan was very isolationist. Pretty much ever since they stopped working with Pro Wrestling Noah, because they weren't able to buy them. They have not worked with any other promotions. But then we got Wrestle Kingdom last year, We got obviously we got it again this year with more
Mhm.
stuff. But in addition, we're getting actual like storylines and things like that too. A lot of their top wrestlers, a lot, the dads have all moved on, like Kojima and Nagata, and people are all spending most of their time in other promotions. Even like Yano and Tenzan and people are. So we're finally getting that intra-promotional interaction, and then like in All Japan, their tag champs are Keno and Manabu Soya, right?
Yeah.
The
whole scene just feels like super cooperative and open at the moment. It's just exciting to see. The wrestling is the best when these companies interact and work together to put on the best possible product. It's strange how that works, But
Crazy, right? Crazy. So it looks like there's lots of exciting matchups on the show. It's all pretty much multi-man tags. It's going to be at Sumo Hall, so big venue for that. But it's all about the one matchup. It's all about the main event on this one. Okada, Keno, and Yuma Aoyagi versus Tanahashi, Kaito, and Kento, which is literally like the top two guys in. There's a dog barking outside my apartment. Literally like the top two guys in all three promotions, all coincidentally have dropped the world title to get this match going. And it's an incredible matchup. Okada and Kaito on opposite sides once again. Keno and Kento have been chomping at the bit to get at each other's throats as well in All Japan. So, oh my god, like it's just as all star as it gets.
Yeah, it's like, like you said, all-star lineup, but then when you add in those, those little storylines have been playing out throughout the year. Obviously, I think the Kaito and Okada thing is possibly my favorite storyline of the year. Some of the interactions. Obviously, it's not been like happening all the time, but the little brief things we've had between them have been super exciting. And just everyone in the match is like genuinely up there as one of the best wrestlers in the world. So how could you not be excited for something like that?
I really hope. I mean, I know like Kento always gets over, no matter what situation he's in. He is genuinely, in my opinion, except for maybe Will Ospreay, the best wrestler in the world. He's gonna get over fine. I really am looking forward to Yuma Aoyagi and seeing how he's able to get over in this match. I suspect that the pairings in this are obviously going to be Okada and Kaito. Keno and Kento makes sense to me. And then Yuma versus Tanahashi, I think, is a really intriguing matchup and could allow for Yuma to really get some big spots over in this match. So I'm pretty stoked about everything there. And the finish is like, what do they do? Because it seems like out of everybody in there, Yuma feels like the fall guy, which is crazy because he's like, he won the champion carnival last year. He's like their number 2 guy in the company. But he's definitely a notch below everybody else in the match. But at the same time, like Okada could pin Kaito again. Or Kaito could pin Okada. And they could that could lead into the G1 where Okada gets his revenge or something. No idea what's going to happen from here.
Yeah,
it's
and
such
that makes it all the more exciting, right? When you have that, that's what you get when you get these big, all-star lineups. It's like, someone's got to take a fall here. What's the direction going to be? But regardless of how it plays out, it should be excellent.
Second from the top, I believe we have the match order. I believe all these matches are in order. It's the All-Star Junior matchup too. It's essentially this match, but with just the best juniors, or I should say at least most pushed juniors in their respective divisions. Hiromu Takahashi, Amakusa, and Atsuki Aoyagi are taking on Master Wado, Hayata, and Rising Hayato. I hope that Hayato and Aoyagi, by the way, if you're not aware, Atsuki Aoyagi is Yuma's younger brother for anybody watching. Like, so that's pretty crazy too, by the way. We're getting 2 brothers in the main and semi-main of this show. But Aoyagi and Hayato have ironed out their interactions to where they just do this crazy, like seemingly endless sequence of high spots and big moves. I really hope they get to show that off in this match and are able to do that. Hayata kind of fucking sucks. I don't love that he's in here, but yeah, that's kind of what you get. Makusa has been great, and obviously Hiromu is one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I think everyone in the bar Hayata is super exciting. Like you mentioned that, yeah, the Aoyagi and Hayato sequence. So, the whole thing with this show, I think all Japan obviously is probably the promotion from a Western standpoint at the very least. Has probably the least eyes on it. You don't see a ton of people outside, really, really in-depth Puro fans. Yourself, you're the biggest All Japan fan I know. So I'm excited for them getting a lot more eyes on them. Obviously, New Japan and Noah will bring a lot of those Western fans, and I hope I hope a lot of them can stick around and find some favorites in All Japan, get that viewership up, and yeah, should be bar Hayata's involvement. It should be a really fun junior trios tag match.
Below this, we have what I think has kind of flown under the radar a little bit. Sonata and Jake Lee, the GHC and IWGP heavyweight champions, are on opposite sides of a tag match. They're teaming with their respective juniors in their stables. But yeah, I mean, it's extremely rare when you get the heavyweight champions of two Japanese promotions to match up against each other.
Yeah, the war of the guys.
Yeah, just 5 guys and good-looking guys.
Good looking. This is the match I wanted from this show. I needed to find as good as those the main events and the co-main events are, all-star lineups. I needed to know who the better guys were. We will find out this week. So hey, that's great. Two world heavyweight champions who, aren't the most popular, or they're certainly a little divisive. Jake Lee more than anyone. It feels like sometimes us three on the podcast are the only 3 Jake Lee fans.
It sometimes feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think he's great. I mean, I don't know, but and then obviously Sonata is. Yeah, I think he's having a hell of a run so far. But obviously, some people are yet to be convinced. But hey, regardless, again, should be super fun. So yeah, the guys.
The rest of the show is just filled with little like Puro like nuggets of excitement that are just like, wow, that's so cool. Yuji Nagata, Suwama, and Yuma Anzai is such a fun team. I love that Nagata's representing All Japan right now as their Triple Crown champion. He's done fantastic, by the way, despite being, I think, 54. He's been incredible as Triple Crown champion. They're taking on LIJ. Like, we're gonna get fucking Shingo and Suwama interactions, and then Yuma and Shingo had that singles match a few months ago too. So just lots of history there. I'm not gonna stop on all this stuff. Interrupt me if there's anything you want to say, but I'm just gonna kind of run down the rest of the card.
Yeah. Just on that the LIJ side of that match, it's Naito, Shingo, and Bushi.
And Bushi.
Can they fucking put Suji in? Can they just?
Yeah, where's Suji?
Swap that? Yeah,
they're like, no, we got to save his intrigue. Suji's not, although Suji is wrestling on the next New Japan like road tour. So, but yeah, no,
just get him in here. Come on.
I guess because I can't remember if these matches were announced before the Dominion, right? Or maybe they weren't. I can't remember.
I feel like they were, but
I don't know. Okay. This is the United Empire versus the fucking weirdo, like random All Japan team is really fun. I love, like, this is how you're a Puro fan, because I am excited for Francesco Akira to get his revenge on Hikaru Sato, who terrorized him in the junior division of All Japan over the pandemic. Akira was so good, and Sato would beat him like every time. And so now Akira is going to be like, fuck this guy. I'm going to kill him.
We're doing long-term interpromotional storytelling on the show. This is the type of thing I like, so I'm here for it.
But like Cobb and Honda are built identically. Like Honda's not quite as big, obviously, but they both got the big old bellies, and they're just sort of big, meaty guys who will fight each other. So that's fun. Another fun matchup. This has lore going back like a decade. Sugiura was like the first big Noah name to join Suzuki-gun when Suzuki took over. When Suzuki-gun took over Pro Wrestling Noah in 2016. So we're getting some interactions here as Strong Style takes on Sugiura-gun, Sugiura and Marufuji and Junta Miyawaki. Desperado and Miyawaki both had excursions in Mexico, so that adds some intrigue. Yeah, it's just tons of little connections and stuff they're able to make.
So many exciting names on the card, man. It's going to be, like I said before, even if you're not familiar with everyone on the show, not everyone's going to be a big All Japan fan or whatever. Just like the names that you do know, should have like really exciting shows, and then you'll become fans of like new wrestlers. I'm looking forward to seeing, a lot of these guys get a big spotlight, and just hopefully, people come away feeling like, maybe I want to check out some All Japan, or maybe if they don't know much about Noah, maybe they come away. Maybe we make some new Jake Lee fans. maybe, yeah. So
we're getting I'm stoked. We're getting a straight up aggression tag match. Go Shiozaki and Katsuhiko Nakajima taking on Shuji Ishikawa and Hokuto Mori. That they're in the main unit in All Japan. Like, they're both pretty well pushed guys. Like, this is a big matchup. Amori's going to take the pin, but Aggression are an incredible tag team, and like, anytime you can get them against anybody, I'm excited. Let alone two pushed guys in another company. Shota Umino versus Yoshitatsu is the one singles match on this show. That's like, all right, okay. I'm glad Yoshitatsu was able to finagle his way onto this show. Okay.
Yoshitatsu of ECW and Styles Clash Botch fame.
That's right. That's right.
Hey,
the Yoshitatsu of Yoshitatsu Hate Army, where the All Japan undercarders created a stable because of their mutual shared hatred of Yoshitatsu, and then he beat them all in singles matches, and they all had to join him. That was a lot of fun. He exists in his own plane. You have to understand, the All Japan undercard exists outside the bounds of wrestling space-time. Okay, it's its own thing. You've got Black Mensore, you've got Toshizo, you've got OG Shiba, you've got all these people. You just got to let them be. All right, you got to let them cook and do their own stuff. And then, this match is like not that exciting to me, I guess, but like Sabre and Ridgeway interactions are cool. Sabre and Kosei Fujita against Chris Ridgeway and Sean Legacy. It's incredible to me that Sean fucking Legacy is on this show. Like, what? I wish it had been like someone else, but why wasn't like Ogawa on this show? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe I've seen much of Sean Legacy. Have you seen much of Sean Legacy? No. Maybe he's good. Legacy. I don't know. His name's Sean Legacy, so
I don't know. It's like very boring to me. We'll see. The opener of the show, there's a pre-show match that's all like juniors, right? It's Yo, Taguchi, Black Mensore, and Ryo Inoue against the Noah team of Kotake, Yoshioka, Alejandro, and Super Crazy. But I actually think this opener has a chance to be awesome too. Ishii, Goto, and Yoshihashi taking on Yoshiki Nomura, Masa Kitamiya, and Daiki Inaba at the Wrestle Kingdom Noah versus New Japan show last year. I thought Ishii and Kitamiya, and also Ishii and Inamura, had awesome interactions. I was such a fan of that. They did like a 10-man undercard tag, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here.
Big lads. That's that's some of my favorite stuff. Just two big fuckers bumping into each other, as Big E once said on that fucking podcast. So yeah, it'll be that'll be fun.
So all I can ask for from this show is that the matches live up to the talent. That's all I'm really hoping for. If we get storylines, if we get stuff that builds off of this, all the better. I'm not going to put my hopes on it, but there's always stuff they can do if they want to do it, right? So, okay. Jamie, is there anything else you want to touch on before we move on?
I guess there's been some Stardom developments, but they're not like happening immediately. So
I know they have two pay-per-views in consecutive weekends, right? Coming up in not next weekend, but I think maybe 2 weekends or even 3 from now. So
there's one at the end of the month and one early July. I guess the kind of notable thing I'll mention is we have a stipulation for the Oedo Tai Queen's Quest match.
Yes, that's a big deal.
We knew it would be a steel cage match, but we now know that the last person in the match, or the final person left in the cage, will be forced to leave their group. Obviously, everyone is predicting this to be a Queen's Quest wrestler because when you go up against a Edo Tai in this type of match, you lose. There's a rookie mistake from Queen's Quest.
Yeah, rookie mistake from Utami. What are you cooking?
And also, everyone seems to think it'll be Utami or Saya. They've obviously been having their tension, and they're two names you could, the stature they are on the roster, they could lead their own faction. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. Do you have a prediction on who's leaving in this?
I think it's exactly what Laz just said, except I think it's Utami and not Micah. I think it's Utami who is the one who is left and does that literally this exact same thing as what I've been talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll put. I'm gonna make an attempt to pronounce our Portuguese friend's name. Is it How Sequeira? Maybe, I don't know. Please tell me if I've pronounced your name wrong. I don't know. He's pointed out that Natsupoi and Soriano will randomly be in an Indian strap match.
Yeah, see, when I saw this announced again, I don't look at lore anymore. I just watch matches, but they're not like feuding, are they? Or are they?
Well, they had a tag match recently, which I believe they lost. I don't even know if the show's uploaded yet. You know what Stardom World's like. But after the match, they tried to like fight each other, but they didn't actually come to blows. But they kind of like dodged each other's attacks. So they're having a bit of a Utami Saya moment, and I think I think it's notable that there's a lot of kind of people maybe looking to leave their factions or free agents and stuff. You mentioned, Mei, Sarah, Suzu, they're factionless. Micah mentioned after the four-way, the 4v4 generational tag,
which I haven't been able to watch yet, but it sounded like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time. I believe she mentioned after the match that she's considering leaving Donna Del Mondo. She's been teaming with Mei and Suzu a lot recently, so it definitely feels like a new faction could be on the horizon. And before we move on from Stardom, I have a plug that I want to get in. I mentioned a long time ago on this podcast, randomly, that I was working on a Stardom guide. The process of making this Stardom guide has kind of gone through delays. Our editor Matt's been working hard on it, but it's not as it's not his main subject. He's kind of unfamiliar with a lot of it. And then we had a lot of title changes and stuff with All-Star Grand Queendom, which set us back because obviously the nature of the video. I can now announce that video is coming out either at this weekend or very, very early next week. So please keep your eye out on the Recipes YouTube channel.
Let's go.
If you're not already subscribed, do that. Like the video as well while you're down there. Click on that button. And get my first YouTube video out. Hopefully, obviously we had the FTR video, which Joe did a great job on earlier in the year. So hopefully this can be a similar success and we can get rolling on some other stuff. I'll probably be working on a few other Puro centric videos. So yeah, just keep your eyes out for that on the Twitter and on the YouTube. We'll be plugging that soon.
Keep your eyes out, everybody. I mean, I will be watching it as soon as we will be there. We will be there.
No matter what.
Yeah, we will be there. We will be there. Perfectly. No, I'm super stoked about that. It's gonna be great. There's so many people who are always looking to get into Stardom, but there's so much that you can learn about its history and its past, and it just accentuates your viewing. So definitely, it's going to be a great resource to anybody who's looking to get into Stardom, which there are a lot of people.
Yeah, I kind of hope the video does well, but it needs to kind of do well from the jump because it's going to be outdated by the end of the month.
right. Because there's going to be a new stable that's like Fighting Spirit or something like that, and it's going to be Utami and Mike.
Yeah, Utami's going to leave. Mike is going to leave the faction. It's going to for the week or two that it's relevant.
Marai's going to be Wonder Champion.
That's one of the other issues we've had. There's Stardom do so many shows, and there's always at least a title change or a faction change or something, and they've brought new people in there. It's tough to find a period to get that video in where it's going to stay relevant for at least a bit of time. But hopefully it'll be out this weekend or early next week. So like I said, stay tuned.
All right, bro. I think it is that time. I think it's time for the Beast of the Week. This week, I think there are lots of people who could have won this award this past week. I'm going to start with Murph since he's not here and I make the rules.
Okay.
Murph's Beast of the Week was Phil Mickelson, the golfer. He was one of the first people to jump over to Live Golf, and he's looking like it's going to work out for him because PGA just announced a merger with Live Golf, and now it's just all one thing. So yeah, it's going to be Phil Mickelson for young Murph. Before we get into yours, I think we all know who our collective beast of the week is going to be. He was our first collective beast of the week, or maybe it was not our first, but he's already been ours. And I think there's nobody else who fits it better. It's going to be the freaking Gene Blast, Yoda Tsuji.
Gene Blast.
All right.
Yeah. A 2-time collective beast of the week, if that doesn't sum up. He's only wrestled like one match in New Japan.
Right.
For like that's pretty crazy. So
but like
if
there was nobody who just purely exhibited the qualities of beast more than him over the last week. Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He was going to be my solo pick if we didn't go for him in the. But it had to be. It had to be.
It had to be. You know how it is.
No, that's more than deserved. You've kind of thrown me off now because I completely forgot that we did the collective.
Well, I've got one then.
So I'll let you go. So
on Wednesday this past week, the company Pro Wrestling Noah went to Shinkiba First Ring, or was it I actually think it was Shinjuku Face. I always mix them up. They're pretty much the same thing. I think it was Shinjuku Face actually. And they decided to give us Keno versus Katsuhiko Nakajima for a singles match. Considered one of the great in-ring rivalries since the pandemic. They've had multiple classics against each other. And once again, they went 45 minutes in a singles match. And I thought they were both so fucking awesome in this match. But I got to go to my guy Keno. Keno, not just did he do this over the last week, but he also wrestled in Dragon Gate. He gave them their Twin Gate titles back. He's still the current All Japan champion. He's going to wrestle in the main event of Sumo Hall with Okada and Tanahashi and Kaito and Kento, right? Just this in 3 days. Like, Keno is everywhere, and he is consistently the best part of whatever he is a part of. And if you're going to wrestle that busy of a schedule, and then you're going to come around and in front of like 300 people, you're going to go 45 fucking minutes with Katsuhiko Nakajima, I think that's pretty damn beast to me. So mine this past week will be Keno.
That's a great pick. That match completely slipped my mind. I did watch that match. Is a great match. Okay, my beast of the week, and I know we don't like to do this too often because we always say beast of the week isn't the wrestler of the week. It's a different thing. But I'm gonna
sure
make my beast of the week. The guy that was wrestler of the week, Claudio Castagnoli, had one hell of a week. Wrestled a great trios match over in AEW with Bandido and the Lucha Bros, and then jumped over to New Japan for the first time. First time he's ever wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And like I mentioned before, he's just feels like he's been in his prime forever, but right now is like the real like fucking peak of that. And he was just in a match so star-studded, he was the real standout. And it had me looking forward to whatever he's doing next, maybe a Forbidden Door or with Death Before Dishonor. And he's just like, he's the man. So yeah, Claudio Castagnoli, my beast.
Not to mention the fact at Dominion, he literally like got off the plane, got in a taxi, made it to the show, threw on his gear, and went out and wrestled a classic, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, and he's just been that malleable guy that you're able to throw into any situation throughout his career and just live up to it. He was the replacement for Danielson against when we were going to have Danielson versus Sabre last year. And he came out in an incredible, what I thought was the second best match of the night on the best show of the year. So yeah, Claudio's an awesome pick. He's
the man.
Yeah, our beasts of the week: Yoda Tsuji, Claudio Castagnoli, Keno, and Phil Mickelson, the golfer. Okay,
when was the last time Merv picked a wrestler?
I don't know. It's too much of a bit for me at this point. It's very annoying. That's kind of why I like the collective one, because at least we do have a third wrestler in there usually. But yeah. Okay. So programming note, like we talked about the last couple of weeks, next week will be a pre-recorded show. So if we're not reacting to stuff in the chat, that's why. I thinking we're gonna do some kind of draft of some kind.
I'm with the
wanna say.
draft. I like a
We'll
draft.
do a draft. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So we'll record that this week. We will record it before all together, so we won't be able to get our thoughts there, unfortunately. But I'm going to make it a point to tweet a lot of thoughts about all together on the Dumb Guy Live page, so that y'all are able to get our thoughts on that. We will be back in 2 weeks on the 20th, where we will be previewing Forbidden Door and also a Stardom pay-per-view that weekend. So that's the plan there. We said that if Suji won, we were gonna review the Rainmaker shock, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Maybe we'll return to that at some point. But yeah. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I was just looking at the viewership throughout the show. We had some of the highest viewership we've had in the history of this show on this one. We got up to over 50. Yeah, you don't see it. Yeah, we got up to over 50 at one point, which is very rare for the show, having 50 concurrent live viewers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for IDK and Laz and Scarecrow and all the people, my Portuguese friend who show up and watch the show, Rassel Haas, people who are always participating in the comments. We love you. We love your support. Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody. Until next time, we will see you live in 2 weeks. We'll see you pre-recorded in just a week at our normal time. That's going to do it for us. Stay dumb.